Greetings all, Ferrariman601 here. Welcome to the Assetto Corsa Bonus Pack 3 live stream. The Bonus Pack 3 for Assetto Corsa went live just a few hours ago, and here we are with the Pagani Huayra BC. This is the track-focused version of the Huayra, which I must say is a somewhat underwhelming car as far as I'm concerned in its normal guise. However, this is the track-focused version. You might be able to call this one the sequel to the absolutely almighty Zonda R. But we're going to have a look at this thing, as well as the new circuit here in Assetto Corsa, native from Kunos, Laguna Seca. Yeah. Laguna Seca, there have been several mods made over the past few years of this absolutely tremendous circuit out in California, but now Kunos finally have brought it to us natively here, and I've got to say, yeah, it's really, really cool. This is definitely a track that we have needed for a long time in this sim, and now we've got it. So, welcome to Laguna Seca. Fantastic. You can definitely see the circuit's namesake, Laguna Seca. From Spanish, it means dry lagoon or dry lake, and you can definitely see that we are in a bowl here in California. It is a lake bed, and you can even see there are some remnants of that prehistoric lake which still exist here at the circuit, but here we are. Definitely the most famous feature on this track is this corner right here. It's known as the corkscrew, and you'll see in a moment that's quite an obvious moniker for this bit of tarmac because, yeah, there's a tremendous elevation change, and you can see that the circuit comes in from its highest point. Here is the middle of the braking zone here in the corkscrew. It is a blind left-hander. It plunges downhill right at the apex. You come across the circuit here for a second apex in the opposite direction, and elevation change all the time, steeply downhill. So this is an absolutely tremendous circuit, and it's fantastic that we have finally got it here in Assetto Corsa. Here is the Pagani Huayra VC, or BC I should say. Yes, once again, it is the track-focused version of the Huayra. It's turbocharged, it's got that Mercedes-AMG V12 in the back, and it's a pretty tremendous car. Here we can have a look at the interior. Everything is as you would expect here from Kunos. Tremendous modeling, of course, as we have come to expect from these guys. However, let's have a look at the setup screen and show you what's going on here with the Huayra. All default values are shown here. Obviously, I've got no custom setups yet for this car. Your gearbox, 1st through 7th gear, it is a 7-speed single clutch automated semi-auto, so there is no driver-operated clutch. It's all done by the computer, and of course you can see fixed gearing here. We can't play with that. Tires, we've got two choices of tire compounds. You've got the Hypercar Road, which is par for the course for most of the hypercars here in Assetto Corsa. However, you've also got the Hypercar Trofeo tires, so this is more of a track tire. Tire pressures, they default at 25 psi. They go all the way up to 35 and all the way down to 15 because we're going to be driving this thing hard. Let's bring the tire pressures right down and put the Trofeos on it. We've got the fuel tank empty to keep the car quiet, but maximum fuel capacity is 85 liters. Let's run 30 for the moment, which is the default value. 4 steps on the traction control, 1 being the strongest, and then 4 being the least assist with the system still being active. Of course, you can turn it off as well. Let's leave it at 2 for the moment. Alignment, camber, and tow on all 4 corners. You can play with this. And then generic, just your brake power settings. That's all you've got here in terms of the setup. However, let's take this car out on track and have a look at what's going on here. First gear, again, the computer takes care of the clutch, but nice clunk on all the upshifts and downshifts there. Nice sounds from Kunos. You can see this is a very heavily turbocharged car, so we've got that boost gauge coming up already. And the pit out here at Laguna Seca, it is one of the tightest in the world. Very few cars, very few race cars anyway, can get around this, even at full lock. So you've really got to take it carefully. And now out on track here for the first time in the Huayra BC. It's got horsepower. Yes, it definitely has some horsepower, I must say. And of course, taking it slowly here on this install lap. The sounds in it are very closely related to the normal street-going version of this car. As you would expect, you get a lot of whine from the turbos and from the gearbox as well. when that boost builds, it's just the hand of God pushing this thing forward. It's a lot of speed that builds really quickly. Through the corkscrew, you can see how tight it really is. And coming downhill, you got to really watch how the speed builds through here, because gravity will just pull you off. And that's already lap 1 completed here. Very tight final corner onto the start-finish straight. Traction control working overtime here. Lots of torque, believe it or not, from this turbocharged V12. The second gear for the very complicated turn 1 here at Laguna Seca. It's double apex. Let's turn the traction control down a bit. Feels a little bit too intrusive even on step 2. There's full revs. Yeah. It's quick. It's really quick already. On the brakes, third gear, second gear. Let me take third gear through here once we're really up to speed. Let it out in third, jump on the binders. This is a very fast kink in most cars. And now very steeply uphill, heading back up toward the corkscrew. This version of Laguna Seca, I'm led to believe that it is laser scanned. Kunos say that it's laser scanned. Not that I'm entirely sure laser scanning is the holy grail of tracks in sim racing, but it certainly doesn't hurt affairs. Penultimate corner here. It's very tricky. It is cambered to help you, but the road does kind of tuck into itself, so it falls away on the outside. TC off. First apex here, then drift out a little bit wide, come in for the second apex on the power. There you go. The apex there, hit the sausage curb a bit, use all the exit curbs, tuck it in slightly early here, on the power as quickly as you dare. A little too hot in there. It's instant torque from this engine, it really is. 220 clicks already, just up through a gear and a half basically. Use all the exit curbs there. The brakes, tuck it into the apex, bring the power in gradually for the exit. Yeah, it's got power, it really, really does. The car is very stiff, I must say. Of course, it's a carbon monocoque, as you would expect these days in hypercars. That stiffness kind of does allow the rear axle to break traction ever so slightly. The power. I like this short shoot here. Fourth gear on the brakes. Try to keep it in third through here, throw it in. It's a little slow, but whatever. Trying to get my bearings in this thing. I have driven the normal version of the Wyra quite a bit. I don't like it, as I mentioned. It just feels kind of lumbering, but it's a bit stiffer. The suspension's been tweaked. Of course, we can run on the Trofeo tires, which definitely helps. Gearbox response is very nice. It's not seamless, it's a single clutch, but it's quick enough. Doesn't really need to be anything spectacular. It's very similar to what you get on the Zonda R, which of course is tremendous. It's definitely a nice one, this car. And Laguna Seca, it is so great to have this finally native in Assetto Corsa. There is one mod version in particular that has been up on Race Department for a couple of years, which was the best version of this circuit up to this point. One thing that I didn't like about it, though, and I'm not entirely sure what caused this, but when you would get over the curbing in the that mod version of Laguna, you would get a power cut from the engine. It was almost a phantom traction control that you would get, so it really kept you from exploiting the track limits, which I suppose they did that for reasons of honesty, but at the same time, you couldn't really take the car to its limits, so I like this. None of that is here in this Kunos version. A lot of compression through the chassis at the bottom of the corkscrew, as you might expect. It's very similar to what happens when you go up through Eau Rouge and Radillon at Spa, but it's in the opposite direction here, so it's an interesting little effect. You know what is going to be very cool? Doing this in a Formula 1 car, I'll tell you that much. Little bit of power understeer there. The initial turn-in this wire is very responsive. It wouldn't quite call it razor sharp, but it's sharp enough. It definitely lets you know where you're going. It's my fault there. Got a little squirrely mid-corner, no problem. Pushing it into the corkscrew for all it's worth. That's a little too hard. Definitely traction control off is the way to drive this car. Let's dive into the pits here. Pit entrance also here at Laguna very tight. Look at this. This is almost full lock. Once again, the computer has the clutch, so no worries about that. Just come to a stop here in first gear. Engine keeps running. Nothing to worry about in that regard. Alright, now I can have a look at the chat here. What's going on here? Hello, everybody. Yes, play everything. You hated the Y-Red and you hate this one just as much. I mean, I do not like the standard Y-Red. I truly do not. However, this one, what is this one like? Let's have some external views here. I've not taken any look so far at the external cameras here at Laguna in the Kunos version, so let's see what we've got going on. So far, not bad. This is set one. Nice angles. See that active arrow working on the rear, and I assume it's working on the front as well, just like it is on the standard Wyra. We'll have a look here. Yep, active arrow front and rear. Very nice, those little winglets. Patrick Marcello, since when do you live stream? I normally do live commentary for the Formula 1 races during the season. Obviously, this is the off-season, so I do want to continue live streaming, so here we are. Wyra does have so much torque. Yes, it does, Sage of Light. There is a little bit of turbo lag at the lower revs, but it's not so bad, quite honestly. The engine generates enough torque by itself to fill those gaps. There's no hybrid system in this car, no electronic assists in that regard, so it is all engine and it is all turbo. That was very sideways for the corkscrew. There is quite a bit of power understeer, I will say that. Yeah, Sage of Light, this is a track-focused version of the car, but it is still street legal, so it's got all of the normal pedestrian-type stuff that you would expect in a road car, because it is still a road car. You could basically think of this as an analog to the Ferrari F40, a modern take on that. Still a road car, but definitely track-focused. Probably going to garner a whole bunch of sacrilege right now for comparing this to the Ferrari F40. It is no Ferrari F40, but it's the same sort of idea. A car that goes really well on the track, but you can still drive it on the street. Jonathan Straitman, the man himself, hello! See the other TV cameras. This is set 2. Yes, Ragnarok, the AMG engine, it's not the most melodious thing in the world. Gotta remember, it's a big engine and it's turbocharged, so that's going to be hurting the sound as well. I do have to say, it could do well with revving a bit higher. I am liking these TV camera angles, though. Good job, Kunos. Jonathan, yes, I have tried the Type 3.3. That is a fantastic car. I haven't tried it on the live stream yet. Perhaps we shall. You can see just how squirrely this thing gets, though. My friend, I'm not sure if I have won the Hot Lap Challenge at Imola. I haven't put in another lap for almost a week now. Maybe a little bit longer. 1:15.425 is my fastest. I'm not sure if anybody has put in a faster time. I don't think I can go any faster. Static cams now. You get 2 sets of cyclical cameras, tracking cameras for the TV, and then you get this set of static cameras. Play Everything asking, what car are you planning to take for a ride next? Well, I don't know. You guys can be the arbiters of that. What car do you want to see next? I'd like to do the Alpha 3.3, but any of the other ones in Bonus Pack 3, that is fair game. Static cams aren't too bad, but the car is just too small on screen for most of the time. That's a nice angle right there, though, over the exit curving. Lamborghini Performante, Sesto Elemento. Not bad, both of them are nice choices. Ragnar, you want the Alpha 3.3. Cameras match with the real life cams. You know, it's hard to say, because whenever racing series go to Laguna Seca, they bring all of their own camera equipment and they'll put it wherever they want. Plus the host broadcasters will put their own cameras in places, so I'm not entirely sure if these cameras are true to life or if Kunos have just put them in particularly attractive places, but I'm liking them so far. This is not bad. The only cars from this pack that I've driven so far is this, the Wyra BC, as well as the Alpha 3.3, so all of the others are truly unknown territory for me. Seems like set 1 on the TV cameras is the most attractive in my estimation so far. Play everything. You're saying the Giulia is a mad drift machine. We'll see about that. Yeah, Jonathan, this is one of the circuits that we've known for a long time, mainly from the Gran Turismo series. I think it goes all the way back to Gran Turismo 2, back on the PS1. But that's where I first saw this circuit, and it still does host a lot of races here in North America. Some international series do go here. Some motorcycle championships go here as well. But what I would really like to see would be either a WEC event here or really a Formula 1 race here. That'll never happen, but it would be cool. Laguna Seca also does host several historic races throughout the year. The Monterey Historic Club, they do a lot of historic racing, some open wheelers as well as some old GT cars they run here, and it is really, really cool. So not bad there from the replay cameras. Not a bad little car, I've got to say. Nice modeling work from Kunos as always. Nice taillight detail there. Brake lights, very, very cool. You can turn the actual lights on. Nice. Very, very nice. They've done a good job with this, I've got to say. See the lens flare there as well. Have a look when I turn the lights on and off. Just look across the nose of the car. Nice. Very, very, very nice. The rims do look nice as well, I've got to say. You know, rim detail, that's something that I kind of overlook when I look at a car, but nice rims, I've got to say. Nice modeled appearance of those carbon ceramic rims as well, brake rotors rather. And you can see 6 piston calipers up front, and on the rear, I would guess 4 pistons. Yep, 4 piston calipers on the rear. Really, really cool. Nice tire detail as well. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. Cyphrix101, yes, there is a new DLC for Assetto Corsa. It's free. They're calling it Bonus Pack 3. The next time you launch Steam, it'll come up automatically. It'll load automatically. It'll say that Assetto Corsa is updating. That's what it's doing. You get Laguna Seca and a whole bunch of cars, including this one, the Huayra BC. Yes, Jonathan, the incident with Gonzalo Rodriguez, that was in the kart days. Yeah, that happened right at the corkscrew, stuck throttle. That was a scary one for sure. Jack Higgins, you want to see the Sexto Elemento? We could do that. Yes, as far as the Xbox, guys, I'm not entirely sure when this update's going to come to consoles. It is going to come to consoles. Kunos have already said that. It is happening. You're going to get all the same cars. You're also going to get Laguna Seca. It's going to be free, but I don't know what their timeline is on that. It's just that whenever we get updates here on the PC, the consoles are always at least a week or 2 behind, and it's really not fair. Quite honestly, but that's the way it's been working. Seems like the consensus is that you guys want to see either the Alpha 3.3 or the Sesto Elemento. I'm going to make an executive decision. We're going to see the Sesto Elemento next because I've already driven the 3.3 and it's a cool car, but I think the Sesto Elemento is going to be really, really cool. Ragnarok, yes, this is free. This is a free DLC. It'll load automatically. Let's go do the Sesto Elemento. I'm not entirely sure if the live stream is going to cut out when I leave the game screen, but if it does, just stay here. I will be back very shortly. So we're going to do the Sesto Elemento next. We're going to stay here at Laguna, so we'll see you very soon with that. Alright guys, we are back here in the live stream. Here is the Sesto Elemento. And yeah, I've not driven this thing yet. I've not even really looked at this thing yet. This is stealth fighter material. Honestly, look at this thing. You can definitely tell it is based on a cross between the Gallardo, the old Gallardo, and the Huracan, but yeah, this is a different car in its own right. Jeez, have a look at those exhausts coming out the top side, bodywork blowing the underside of the rear wing. Yeah, this is quite a car already. Have a look at the gearbox casing right there at the back. This is going to be serious, I have the feeling. And of course it's got a V10. Yeah. Okay, let's have a look. Setup screen. What tires have we got on? We got a 6-speed semi-auto box, semi-slicks, and the Hypercar Trofeo. We're going to run the semi-slicks. We're going to drop the tire pressures right down to 15. 30 liters of fuel. We've got 2 steps of TC, it looks like, and off. Let's leave it on step 2. And yeah. Alright, the cockpit. Is there anything in here? There's no dashboard even. It's just completely stripped out. You can see the carbon bulkhead. That's quite cool. Alright, let's drive this thing, shall we? Okay, do we have an automated clutch or not? Yes, we do. We've got an automated clutch. Wow, this thing is stripped out to nothingness. Alright, let's go. Nice V10 soundtrack. Oh dear. Yeah. This is gonna be something. Alright, it's easy to lock the front axle. I've learned that in the first couple hundred feet driving it. Right up to 8,400 RPM on this V10. Seems like a single clutch gearbox on this as well. 6 speeds though, not 7. Those downshifts are interesting. They're not seamless by any means. You get a blip from the engine and then the clutch cuts back out. So downshifts take a little bit of time. That's interesting. And I imagine it'd be somewhat easy to lock the rear wheels as well. TC off. Bit of understeer here at low speeds. Nice torque all the way up through the rev range, I must say. Not too bad. That's a lot of understeer. I actually don't know. Is this 4-wheel drive? Because it feels like it's 4-wheel drive. Would explain why I'm getting understeer under power. Also explain why I'm not getting much wheel spin. Jonathan, you're asking me to do a burnout. I don't think it's possible. Yeah, it's four-wheel drive, no question about that. I'm not sold on this one. Yeah, Sage of Light, they have gone for the fighter jet look, but I'm not entirely sure they've done it very well. It looks almost a little bit too sci-fi to me. It's just got mid-corner understeer. That's a little bit frustrating. Pretty nice engine sounds, I've got to say. It's a V10, of course, so of course it's going to sound nice. I would definitely have to do some setup work on this car. I'm not liking it. I'm not liking the chassis. It understeers too much. Be very deliberate with it. Like, you gotta brake, you gotta get your downshifts done, you gotta turn it into the apex. It's not very fluid. It's not really meshing with my normal driving style. I like to brake and downshift straight into the corner. I can't really do that with this car. Everything is step 1, step 2, step 3. Don't like it. Let's see. It does not like to go sideways at all. It definitely is the kind of car that just wants to keep going straight. But be that as it may, that's the Sesto Elemento. You know what? Kind of disappointed. Really. It's got plenty of power, but it just doesn't fit my driving style at all. It's kind of abrupt in terms of how you've got to try and handle it, as far as I've been able to tell from the handful of laps that we've done. You got to brake, you got to downshift, then you got to turn in. You can't blend things together. It doesn't like to slide. It does not like to go sideways at all. I don't know. It's a car that was designed by a computer, as far as I can tell. Everything is step 1, step 2, step 3. It's not fluid. I don't like it, unfortunately. Let's see here. Not a bad choice of cameras, though. What's it look like from the outside? Yeah, Jonathan, I have to agree with you. Four-wheel drive, it's just not really the way to go for a race car. I mean, yes, the Porsche and Audi guys will probably disagree, but it just doesn't work. You've got to be so incredibly in tune with what the car does and what the car wants to do. It's not driver-focused at all. And you can see the amount of understeer that you've got in this thing. It's a lot. Now, yeah, you got to drive to its limits like you do with anything else, but it's trying to do two things at once. It's trying to be a race car, and it's trying to be a road car, and you know what? I'm not entirely convinced that it's particularly good at either one of those things. It looks cool, though. Sage of Light, do you use gloves on Alcantara rims? Yeah, I do use gloves on the Alcantara rim. I've also got that 599 rim for my Thrustmaster TSPC, and I've always worn gloves with it. And yep, I have wear right at the 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock positions where I normally hold the wheel, and that's with gloves. So it seems like it's just something that you can't avoid. I do have to say that the worn area actually has a bit more grip than the non-worn area, but it does kind of affect the look of the wheel a little bit. I don't know if at some point I'll get another one of these Alcantara rims, but it's doing its job. It's a very nice rim, I have to say. It still feels nice in the hands even without gloves on, but yeah, I do notice that wear. Aiden Johnson, yes. All-wheel drive doesn't really work on track unless the car has been specifically designed for that, like your LMP1 cars with the hybrid systems. Most of those LMP1 cars, they've got it set up so where the engine actually drives the rear wheels and the electric motors drive the front wheels. So it is effectively all-wheel drive depending on how you've got the hybrid deploy settings. But those cars work because that's how those cars work. But this, no. Jonathan, yep, I have to agree that Sesto Elemento definitely it shares a lot with the Audi R8. Sage of Light, recommendations for gloves? Not really. Whatever works for you, whatever's comfortable, and whatever still gives you decent feel. I use a very old and beat up pair of winter gloves, so I'm not the one to talk about, you know, special kinds of gloves for sure. But actually, if you've seen the video where I drive the Formula 2000 car, the gloves I'm wearing there are the same gloves that I use on the sim wheel. So yeah, they're very old and very beat up. Aiden, yeah, I agree. Alcantara, it is a very cool material. It's a synthetic material. It's not natural by any means. It was basically made to emulate the feel of leather, but it's softer than leather, and it's a bit more plush than most leather is. But yeah, you do get that wear problem. Sage of Light, do you use the twist dial on the 599 rim? Yes, I do. I have it mapped to traction control settings. I prefer to do the turbo boost pressure with the 2 push buttons on top. The blue ones on top. Right is up and left is down. In terms of gloves and being able to use the keyboard, you gotta take the gloves off if you really want to be able to use the keyboard. I mean, it takes a second to do. It's what I do. It's not really a problem. Yep, and there's that replay going very sideways. This car does not like to go sideways by any stretch of the imagination. Brodeur212, you are asking, what is the next car? What do you want to be the next car? It's that time again. Honestly, I'm kind of disappointed with the Sesto Elemento. It was basically what I expected, but I was hoping it would be better, but it's not, unfortunately. Zelda AC Fan 17, Laguna is a nice track. Very, very much. One of my favorites. I'm so happy that we finally got it natively here in Assetto Corsa. Aiden Johnson, we did the Wyra BC already. Play Everything wants to see what I think of the Giulia. Well, we'll see. Marfran wants the 3-3. Sage of Light, you're worried about your hands getting too hot when you're wearing gloves. You know what? Sometimes it happens, and you just deal with it, really. You will get sweaty. And especially if you're in a longer race and you're running a lot of force feedback, you will get sweaty. And honestly, I'm surprised at really how much exertion you can get sometimes in sim racing. I'm personally in pretty good shape. I run a lot. That's my thing. I'm a runner, and sometimes I'll actually wear my heart rate monitor when I'm simming, and I can get up to about 130, 140 beats per minute sometimes. It's interesting. I mean, it's nowhere near my maximum heart rate. It's nowhere near what I'd get sometimes on a long run, but still, it's you'd call that elevated. So it's a physical exertion. It is. Let's see, we've got some votes for the 3-3, we've got some votes for the Giulia, we've got some votes for the non-concept Maserati. What else do we got? We already did the Wyra BC. Jonathan wants the 3-3. I've got more votes for the Giulia right now, though. Sage of Light wants the 3-3. Ragnarok, we're not going to the Nordschleife. I don't feel like being here for 17 years. I have not done the Performante yet. For continuity's sake, we should probably do the Performante. And then we'll probably do the Giulia. We're going to do them both, Jonathan. Don't worry about that. But, yeah. You know what? Let's do the Performante first. And then we'll go out and we'll do the Giulia. Executive decision made. Hang tight, guys. It's going to cut out again. But I will be back very, very soon. Alright guys, well, welcome back. We've got the Performante now, and of course we've got it painted in this absolutely ludicrous looking green color because it's a Lamborghini and they're supposed to look ridiculous. So here we are back again. Let's see, this is going to be similar to the Sesto Elemento because obviously it does share quite a few elements with it, pun intended. Even the taillights are pretty much the same. V10 engine as well. Sounds a bit nicer, I think. And there's your cockpit view. Yeah, this thing is not quite as stripped out as the Sesto Elemento. This is a road car meant for the road. But some cool details in here. Gonna get some blue shift lights. That's cool. Those downshifts are a bit smoother. I will say that. What have we got? We're running on the Trofeo tires for the sake of consistency. DC off. Done half a lap and this car is already better. 100% better. It turns in, you get the power on, it doesn't push you off the circuit. This is better. I can deal with this. That G meter on the dashboard, it actually works. That's interesting. I haven't seen that before in Assetto Corsa. Much better. Much better. I'm liking this a lot more. Sesto Elemento, it feels like a test bed. It really does. See, this is interesting because you could drive another car very similar. Same engine, similar drivetrain, that kind of thing. But this one's executed much more completely. It's a finished package. The Sesto Elemento, it feels like a work in progress. This, no, this is very refined. This is ready for the world. Nice backfire sounds on the overrun. Cool. Very, very cool. Still pretty decent XL coming up the hill. Braking is a lot more compliant in this car than in the Sexto Elemento. I'm not running ABS or anything like that, but Sexto Elemento, it's much easier to lock the wheels up. This, not so much. Very cool. Yep, this is a car I could definitely get used to. Liking this a lot more. It's just, it feels a lot more free through the corners. It doesn't mind sliding so much. You can brake a bit later. You can brake a bit harder as well. You can still turn in while you're on the brakes. It's much better. Much, much better. How's second gear work through here? Third gear definitely the way to go through turn one, but a four-wheel drive system, it does allow you to get a little bit sideways. A whole lot more than the Sexto Elemento, which is welcome, of course. But it is still four-wheel drive, so you will get power understeer if you get on the power too enthusiastically. Yeah, there you go. Sexto Elemento did not like that. This one loves it. Yes! Not bad at all. Really not bad at all. Alright, so Lamborghini, you have redeemed yourselves. This is okay. This is really okay. Shorter wheelbase. So same wheelbase as the Sexto Elemento, but it's a short wheelbase car with a V10 in the middle. Yeah, this is what I had in mind for the Sexto Elemento. This is very good. Very, very good indeed. Have a look through the comments here. Jonathan, yeah, the only thing that was good about the Sexto Elemento was the downshifts. I agree. Definitely agree. Sage of Light, does it feel similar to the Huracan? Yeah. It absolutely does. This feels a bit better, though. It's a bit more positive. Zelda AC is asking, what's my favorite car? Well, I haven't driven all the cars in this pack yet, but so far, the nicest one I've driven has got to be this one. Performante is pretty good. Tomislav, yeah, we've got a lot of mod cars here, and they are all working as far as I know. Aiden, my thoughts on the BC? Well, it's better than the stock Wyra. It is. Would I say it's really awesome? Not particularly. It's certainly nowhere near as good as the Zonda R is. Pagani definitely trying to resurrect some of the sentiment behind the Zonda R with the BC, but it's still not quite there. It's not brutal enough. Marfran, you are wondering, how close are we in Sims in general with the real-world counterpart of driving dynamics? Well, if you had asked me that question a few months ago, I would have really not been able to give you an answer. But I'll tell you this. Ever since I drove the Formula 2000 car over at Pocono earlier this year, my opinion of Sims and my perspective on Sims has changed quite a bit. I was truly amazed at just how many things I can do in a sim translated into the real world and driving that car. Everything that I do in a sim reacted pretty much the same way in the real car. I was truly shocked at that. I was expecting the experience to be completely alien. I was expecting to get in there and pretty much have no idea what I was doing, but it was exactly the opposite. Obviously, the biggest difference is in a sim, you don't feel the effects of acceleration, of braking, of cornering, that kind of thing. But in terms of your inputs, the way the car responds to you, the way that you've got to interact with the car, it was one-to-one. The way that the tire works on the road and stuff like that, it was very, very close. Even I had prepared for that run by running that configuration of Pocono in iRacing with the Skip Barber car, and I was shocked at how close to life iRacing really was. I knew where the bumps were. It was really that detailed. So honestly, I think we are very close to the real world in terms of what we're experiencing in Sims nowadays. Sage of Light saying, yeah, you can drive with your butt in the real world. The idea being that when you're really strapped into a car and your seating position is good, all the forces, they sort of come to their neutral point right in your backside. It's where the center of gravity is in your body, and it's where you're most sensitive to changes of direction and weight transfer and things like that. In a real car, that's how you start to assess where the grip is and are you approaching the limits of the tire and that kind of thing. And it's less about steering feel. Obviously, in a sim, we can't do that because we're stationary and we're trying to extend our imagination into an object that's moving on a dynamic track surface and all that. So with simming, most of your tactile feedback comes through your steering with the force feedback and all of that. In a sim, your eyes are much more important because that's the only dynamic link that you've got between what's happening on screen and what your hands are feeling through the wheel. So in the real world, yeah, Martin Brundle talks about the gyros in your body. That's very true. You will feel a slide through your butt before you'll see it with your eyes in most cases. So you're reacting to what you're feeling rather than what you're seeing. In a sim, it's the opposite. You've got to use your eyes to tell you when you're starting to approach the limit of grip, when a slide is starting to get established. And it's a visual reaction. The stimulus is visual with the sim. In the real world, the stimulus can be visual, and it often is, but more often than that, you're going to feel it first. Lorenzo Casali, thoughts on the FXXK or P1 GTR? FXXK, 100%. 100% FXXK. The P1 GTR is just... It's got too many computers in it. It really does. It does not allow me to do everything that I want to do with the car, especially with that DRS. You hit the DRS and then you just twitch it a little bit sideways and then DRS slams shut. It's a mess. FXXK, it gives you full beans when you want full beans. It'll be quiet when you want it to be quiet. It does not bother you at all. The P1 GTR, it's got too much. It's got too many electronic gizmos in it. It really does. And that's talking about the hybrid system in the FXXK and all of that. If you don't want the hybrid system, you can turn it off. Boom, there it is. And then you've just got a straight V12 again. And then when you want the electric boost, you push the button and there it is. It's more driver focused. It really is. Jonathan asks, are you planning to do more real-life track drives? I would really love to. It's expensive. It really is expensive, but I would be definitely looking forward to doing that again. I don't know if I'll be going back to Pocono next year and driving the F2000 again. It's a possibility, but right now nothing is settled, so we'll see. Ideally, what I would really like to do someday is to buy my own Formula 2000 car or something like it, and be able to take it to track days. It would be somewhat expensive, but also manageable, because honestly, a car like that, you can get all of the parts you'll ever need for it at most auto parts stores. The engine, it's a naturally aspirated 4-cylinder out of an old Ford sedan, so I mean, it's not that inaccessible, and the cars themselves only run us about $15,000 to $20,000 US, so they're not that expensive. It's just the upkeep of them, and of course transporting them and all of that. And that's where the expense comes in. What car shall we do next? Are we going to do the Giulia next? Sage of Light, interesting question. Having driven the F2000 car in real life, did it change your perspective on what it would be like to drive a Formula 1 car? Yeah, it definitely did. Everything that happened in the F2000 car would also happen in a Formula 1 car, just it would happen a lot faster in a Formula 1 car. So, honestly, I don't think it would be difficult to drive a Formula 1 car. It would just be limiting in terms of what I'm physically able to do, because the speeds are higher, the G-forces would be much higher, and of course, depending on the tires that you have, they're either on or they're very, very off. You've got to keep a Formula 1 tire in a very narrow operating window in terms of the temperature and in terms of the slip rates on them. You basically have no slip angle in a Formula 1 tire. You're either gripping 100% or you're off. So that would be difficult to get my mind around. But in terms of the actual car dynamics, I don't think just being able to operate a Formula 1 car, I don't think it would be that difficult, all things considered. Of course, if you want to go fast, well, you've got to be a superhero. But I think it would not be a difficult thing to drive a Formula 1 car. To be fast in one, well, that would require a whole lot more practice for sure. Jonathan, you had a chance to buy a Formula Renault car, but no engine in it. For 1,500 euros? Yeah. You should have bought that thing. If it had a gearbox in it, definitely you should have bought that thing. And then you would have, I guess you could have dropped pretty much any 2-liter engine into it. I mean, you would have had to modify some things depending on the engine you got your hands on, but I guess you could have done it. Deadpool, hello! Yeah, Jonathan, the cost comes in there with the gearbox because they're running sequential gearboxes, I believe. So that's expensive. That could be a $5,000 or $10,000 gearbox. That's where the cost comes in. The longitudinal G in an F1 car would be pretty severe, especially under braking. I mean, we see it all the time with the onboard telemetry. These guys are pulling 5, sometimes 6 G under braking. That's intense. I mean, having had no experience in a car that can brake like that, I don't know what that feels like, but I would imagine it feels like somebody is punching you in the back of the head all the time. Obviously, you don't get the impact from being hit, but it must just want to rip your head clean off of your shoulders. I suppose we should do the Giulia next, so we're going to do that. Hang tight once again. The stream is going to cut, but we will be back very shortly. Welcome back, everybody. Here is the Giulia Quattrofoglio, and yeah, it's a 4-door sedan. Yes, it is. Superficially, it actually looks quite similar to the older BMW M5s from like the 2005 era. Assuming that's a V8 engine, and I'm seeing it's turbocharged. I don't know much about this car. I really don't. It's a 4-door sedan. I have always been somewhat critical of putting cars like this in sims because I really don't think they're that cool. At the same time, though, it's identifiable with what we drive on the road, so yeah, maybe. Also, Sage of Light, you asked a question, have I ever thought about getting something like an RX-7 or an RX-8 as a hobby car? A couple of years ago, I actually did get pretty close to getting an RX-8. I backed out of it at the last second, though, because it was a used one, and when I ran the vehicle history check, I had seen that it had passed through like 4 owners in 4 months, and I wasn't sure if that was dealers just shuffling it around between each other or what, but it made me suspicious of the car's history. Also, when I put my scanner on it, my OBD scanner, it popped a whole bunch of codes on it for the ignition system. So when I asked the dealer about that, they said, "Oh well, the battery died, so the monitors haven't reset yet," which was complete BS. So I backed out of that one. It did not look like a good car, but yeah. Anyway, how is the Giulia? It's a stick. It's a proper stick. I was expecting this to be a semi-auto. Okay then. Alrighty then, it's a stick. We're doing the bone stock setup. We're on the Hypercar road tires. It's got torque, I'll tell you that much. There's quite a bit of torque in this thing already. Lazy engine. DC is off, just confirming that. Turbocharged, but not heavily. Is it really a drift monster? Went a bit too fast to try in there, but alright. We gotta try that in second gear. Maybe a little bit. Alright, it doesn't mind going sideways. It'll go sideways. Alright, alright. I can deal. I can deal. Just bogs down in the mid-rev range. It's a lazy engine. I'll say that, and it's heavy, but it doesn't feel heavy. The steering's actually quite light. Brakes are pretty good. Yeah, Jonathan, I agree. That digital speedo on the center of the dash, it is slow. It lags behind what you're seeing on the left-hand side of the screen quite a bit, about a half a second. It looks like it only updates about twice per second, so it's not giving you the actual speed at any time. I don't even understand why they'd have a digital speedo there, because you've got an analog one right on the right side of the dashboard. So, you know, your car has two ways of telling you how fast you're going, and one of them is always a half a second behind reality. Okay. That's a spin. All right. Zero to 100 time is really quick. Actually, what is that 0 to 100 time? Just count it off manually here. About 5 seconds. That's quite respectable for a sedan. It does have torque, and it does have power, but well, it's a sedan, so I have to be kind to it for sure. But it feels disconnected. They're going for luxury here, for sure. Is it really Is it driver-oriented? No, this is a luxury car. It really is. It has power, it has performance, just the way that it delivers it is somewhat peculiar to me. Yeah, Aiden saying that AC does not model stalls. No, it doesn't, and that I don't like that. I don't like that we can't actually switch the car on and off in Assetto Corsa. Project Cars does, R-Factor does, iRacing does, every other sim does, and that was a very harsh downshift. Assetto Corsa also doesn't do a very good job of modeling how the pistons would have flown out the top of the cylinder head right there. Yeah, Jonathan, that's basically my verdict on this one as well. It's a cool car for what it is. It's a four-door sedan that can also go sideways around corners. But will people be driving this one a lot? Will this be popular online? No. It's a sedan. That's what it is. It's not something that's particularly exotic, even though its price tag definitely puts it in that territory. It's a family car, it really is. If you were a well-to-do person and you wanted a car that was a little bit different but still perfectly acceptable in the real world, you'd buy this. All in all, not bad. I mean, it's a sedan. There's no way of getting around that. It's a four-door sedan. This is something that you would pack up the wife and the kids in, and you'd go on holiday in it. That's the kind of car it is, and that's not to take anything away from it. It's just what it is. Is it fun to get it sideways? Sure. What car isn't fun to get sideways? But I think the real test of its mettle is going to be, is it something that we care about later on? In like a day? No, it's not. This is going to fall into the realm of obscurity like several other cars here in the AC lineup. It's not bad to look at, play everything. It is certainly not bad to look at. It's just, you know, it's a sedan. It really just, that's what it is. And if you like this kind of thing, then you like this kind of thing. If you're like me and you look at cars like this more as things of functionality rather than, you know, something that you'd actually want to drive every day, well, it is what it is. Personally, if I could buy one of these, I wouldn't. It's just not my thing. Zelda AC fan, tell me about the engine. It feels like a V8. Is it a V8? It's a V6, that's derived from a Ferrari V8, hence the turbocharging. Interesting. So it's a Ferrari V8 with 2 cylinders chopped off the back. Alright, interesting. I guess it works. Yep, it's the California V8 with 2 cylinders chopped off. Yeah, 600 Newton meters, that is quite a bit of torque. Yeah, Jonathan, 2.9 liters, that is the same displacement as the Ferrari F40. Of course, the F40 is a V8 twin-turbo. And there's my very unceremonious spin. The corkscrew claims another victim. Here we are. I wanted to see how quick it could get to 60 miles an hour or 100 clicks. Could have done with a little bit less wheel spin on the start, but it was around 5 seconds, so not bad. Yes, Jonathan, finally mentioning the elephant in the room. The older circuits have crazy corners, like the corkscrew here at Laguna Seca. The Tilkedromes have no crazy corners, with the exception of Istanbul with turn 8. 4 apices in turn 8 at Istanbul. It's the only modern circuit that really had some soul to it, and it's such a shame that nobody really uses it anymore. The Razor Kill asking if I've driven the GT1 from Virtua. Trying to think. I think I have, once, very briefly. I don't know if I had driven the finished version of it or a work-in-progress version, but it wasn't a particularly pleasant experience since I haven't featured it. How do Kunos do in terms of engine sounds? They do a fair job. They certainly do. I think some cars could be better, but I think some cars are absolutely awesome. Fonseca in his sound packs, he really sets the bar high with what he's done. I'm running quite a few cars here in my version of AC with his sound packs in them, and they're awesome. Particularly the Porsche 911 RSR comes to mind. The Ferrari FXXK also comes to mind. He does a great job with those sounds, both internally and externally. They're awesome. Kunos should hire him. Yeah, in terms of modders, VRC, they do a fantastic job with their sounds. They really, really do. Particularly the Formula 1 cars, the FW19, the Williams, the Renault R25, the McLaren MP420, they sound just like they do on TV when you see the old onboards. are pretty much one-to-one. That's spectacular. With VRC's MP44, the onboard sounds are not the best. I mean, they're appropriate for sure. It sounds like a twin-turbo V6 because it is a twin-turbo V6. The external sounds are great. Maybe they're a touch loud, but I like them. I like them anyway, and when you look at recordings, video or audio recordings of the MP44 rather, it sounds like that. So they're accurate. I just don't know if they're fully implemented as well as they could be, but they're still pretty good, all things considered. In terms of the sound of LaFerrari, the Kuno sounds, they're not that great. Again, just like with VRC's 4.4, they're appropriate for what the car is, but they're kind of underwhelming, particularly from the external views. Yeah, before VRC came around, we had another MP44 from MacCorp. They were, I mean, it was the only MP44 we had, and it was decent. I still think it's a decent car, but VRC just all around, they do a much better job. They really, really do. VRC, I've said it before, and I'll say it again, they are the best modding team out there right now in terms of open wheelers. Every car that they release, whether it's a final 1.0 or beyond 1.0 or even just a 0.1 or 0.2 beta, the cars are coming out immaculate. Everything is as it should be. The sounds are there, the animations are there, the textures and modeling, it's all there. They do a fantastic job. Race Sim Studio, they have a different MO. They're doing payware, and that's fine as well. VRC, technically speaking, they're doing freeware, even though most of the betas are on a donation-only basis. But Race Sim Studio, they're releasing payware, and they're releasing their stuff as a complete package from day one. And that's fine as well. I like their work. Obviously, they really put themselves on the map with Formula Hybrid at the beginning of this year. A complete 2017 spec Formula 1 car before the season started. That was biblical. And Formula Hybrid still, it's the fastest turbo hybrid open wheeler in Assetto Corsa. It's better than the SF70H by miles. Yeah, Sage of Light. I do remember MacCorp with the 2004 Williams and R-Factor 2. I ran that one for a little while as well. It wasn't the best. R-Factor 2 in general kind of irks me. It's the tire model because they put in so much emphasis for the tire deformation. Like you can flat spot the tires and you see the flat spot on the tire, which is cool, but the tires are way too springy. When you go over bumps, you can see the tires actually deforming as you go over the bumps, which is cool, but it's not really realistic. The tires feel like they're water balloons, basically. Race Sim Studio, they are releasing a GT3 mod. We're getting 3 cars to start with. That's going to be on December 23rd, I believe, so just a couple of days from now. Of course, you're going to see those cars here on the channel as well. And I'm really excited about that. Looks like we're getting, well, they're not calling them what they really are, but it's the Dodge Viper, the Ferrari 550, and the Lister Storm is what we're getting. So that's gonna be fun. Definitely stay tuned for that. My friend, that's an interesting point. New European legislation is going to limit sports cars to 79 decibels. Well, also, new European legislation is going to ban internal combustion engines by, what year is it? 2030 or 2040, something ridiculous like that. I don't understand how Europe intends its economy to continue, because you're not going to get rid of internal combustion anytime soon. And moreover, you don't have the infrastructure in place to support alternative fuels or electric cars, so Europe is continuing to put itself on a collision course with the toilet, and, well, that's what's continuing to happen here. It's really sad to watch. Yes, Europe, you've got fantastic internet, but everything else you guys are doing, it's really starting to go south. I don't understand what the thought is in the European Union or even in the individual national governments of a lot of European countries. It seems like you guys are against progress, which is bizarre. Alright, what car should we do next? Should we do the Alpha 3-3? Should we do that Maserati concept thing, whatever it's called? Your choice, guys. Yeah, is there another Lambo in the pack? I don't really know. I haven't looked at the car list. Yeah, in terms of what Merkel is doing in Germany, and of course Germany are the de facto heads of the European Union, it's basically all of the economic power behind the whole thing. I don't get it. What I do know is that Merkel has been the German Chancellor for far too long. She's been there since 2005, so you've got 12 years of one person running the show. It's far too long. All right, executive decision has been made. It's going to be the Alpha 3-3. Do we want to stay at Laguna Seca, or do we want to go somewhere else? Laguna is okay. Some people are saying Mugello. Some people are saying Spa. My all-time favorite car in AC, it's got to be one of the mods, and it's got to be one of the Formula One cars. Right now, I'm liking the MP420 by VRC, but then again, I've always loved that car. In terms of the native Kunos cars, the SF70H is really cool as well. You can tell that I'm biased toward open-wheelers tremendously. Jonathan wants Imola. Oh boy, you really want to continue that show of humiliation? Me at Imola? Oh boy. Let's see. Alright then, we're gonna go to Imola. We're gonna do the Alpha 3-3. Hang tight. Alright, we're back again. We're at Imola now, and this is the Alpha 3-3. Yeah, look at this thing. It's got those gull wing doors, like you saw on a McLaren F1, but this is from the mid-60s. That's so cool. Yeah, we've got a 2.9 liter V8 engine in this car. It's awesome, awesome, awesome. And yeah, vintage tires, 30 psi, one tire compound to choose from. There's that engine note. It's cool. Engine limiter, put it up to 109, yeah. That door shuts alongside us. Look at this thing. This is absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Look at that. You can see this detail at the back here. Look at the back of the gearbox. You can see that little flywheel merrily spinning away. It is a 6-speed gearbox. Yeah, it sounds nice. It definitely sounds nice. And have a look at that tachometer going up to 10,000 RPM in the mid-1960s. That's ridiculous. The Cosworth DFVs weren't quite revving to 10,000 RPM. Oh yeah, it doesn't have a whole lot of horsepower, honestly. About 240 it's rated at, doesn't feel that much. Nice sounds in this thing. Nice backfires on the overrun at higher revs. 9,000 RPM in the mid-60s. That's ridiculous. That's very sideways. Yep. That was bound to happen at some point. Also notice there on the dashboard, there's no red line. You have a white line right there. I guess that's a stereotypically Italian way of saying, you know, how you say, the motor, it does not go higher than that, but you know, you can if you want. So, yeah. It's fantastic. And now I've just offended every Italian in the universe. Sorry, not really. You know it's true. It's not lacking in straight line speed though, 225 down the straight. That's a bit too hot. There's the AstroTurf to the rescue. Just look at how sparse this cockpit is. There's not much going on here. I have no speedometer. No idea how fast you're going. But at the same time, it kind of looks a little futuristic for the era. Everything is just very sparse, very clean. It's definitely a peachy little car. The engine, it's kind of lazy. Obviously, it's all normally aspirated, no turbos on this. It's the 60s, remember. Sounds great, tell you that much. That low displacement means it can rev. Quite obviously, 9,000 RPM. I don't know if it's because the car just kind of doesn't have all that much horsepower, or if it's more of a torque thing due to the low displacement, but it doesn't entirely feel like you'd expect a mid-60s hardtop car to feel. It's nimble. It's very, very zippy, as we might say. Not the ideal line through Variante Alta, but that's okay. They didn't make very many of these. I think they only made 30 or so. I don't know how many of them survive, but it's a cool car nonetheless. Very, very cool. Yeah, Jonathan, you're saying first gear is a bit too long. I think all the gears are a bit too long. I mean, this is a 6-speed gearbox, so you've got ratios to play with. But I guess they were trying to do their best with smoothing out the torque curve of the engine, that kind of thing. They definitely want you to take advantage of the upper end of the rev range. Yeah, 6th gear theoretically taking you to 300 clicks. On the longest, straightest, and flattest road in the world, maybe. But not here. Not too bad. Not too bad at all. This is a fun little car. Is it fast? Not particularly. Does it look cool? Yes, it does. Does it sound cool? Yes, it does. I mean, just look at it. It's so glorious. Let's see. If we stall the engine, does this little flywheel stop spinning? No, it doesn't. Okay. But still, I can forgive them for that. Not bad. Not bad at all. It's just a really cool looking car. It truly is. Yep, Jonathan, it's a little car with big sound. I agree. Definitely I agree. Yeah, are we going to watch Alonso at the Daytona 24? Yes. Yes, we are. 100%. Very, very, very nice. I must say, I like this car quite a bit. It's not the fastest thing in the world, but it's nice to look at. That's definitely true. Speaking of, what does it look like? Yeah. Not too bad. Not too bad at all. I like it. Is it a pocket rocket? Well, yeah, kind of, if you want to consider the car's physical size, but it will definitely burn a big hole in your pocket. These cars are ridiculously expensive. They're very limited in number. I'm not entirely sure how many of them still exist today, but yeah. Yeah, those pocket rockets, they're little motorcycles. They're mini bikes, whatever you want to call them. Little single-cylinder engines. They're styled to look like their larger counterparts, but they are motorcycles, technically speaking. Yeah, this was definitely fast in the 60s. This handles better than pretty much any other car that I've ever driven in a sim from this era. It's cool. It really is cool. Yeah, once the engine designers really figured out how to extract horsepower, principally that came from improving induction as well as getting them to rev higher, things really took off. Chassis dynamics took a while to catch up to that. I think the best example is from Formula 1 with the Lotus 49. That Cosworth DFV really belonged in the mid-70s, but it came out in the mid-60s, and Colin Chapman, as brilliant as he was, he could not get the chassis to be torsionally rigid enough to deal with the torque from that engine. So once tire technology caught up, and of course once aerodynamics came into the equation, that's when the chassis design caught up with the engine power. Yeah, that BMW 2002, brilliant car, 100 horsepower, considered fast. Of course, over here in the United States, we went absolutely mad with displacement and therefore horsepower. I mean, in the mid-60s, the so-called muscle cars that we had here, having 6 and 7 and 8 liter engines was not unheard of, and producing anywhere between 300 to 600 horsepower was certainly reasonable. But we were only good at going in straight lines. Our cars could not corner at all, and most of them had only 4-speed gearboxes, so you had absolutely monstrous amounts of torque, but don't try to turn it, and don't try to stop it either. The brakes also were terrible. Yep, Enzo Ferrari said aerodynamics are for people who can't build engines. I'm not sure how reliable an engine like this would have been. Small displacement, high revs, mid-60s. I'm going to say it was questionable. But still, you had a lot of fun when it was running. And then you probably had a lot of pain when it wasn't. Yep, Indy cars, definitely interested in them. VRC, speaking of them, they're working on an IndyCar mod. They're doing a mod of the current DW12 as well as the new car that's coming out next year. It's heavily based on the DW12, but it's it's got a different aero kit on it, they call it. So it's got an open roll hoop, the air snorkel is gone, the front and rear wings are a bit different, side skirts are a bit different. There's going to be more ground effect in IndyCar next year as well, which I think is going to be really cool. So, you know, we'll see. I'm definitely interested in those cars. If you've ever got the opportunity, go to an IndyCar race. It's a really cool, fun experience. Yes, I am definitely hoping that Fernando Alonso makes his way over to IndyCar someday as well. He did really well in the Indy 500 this year, only to be let down once again by Honda, the Power of Nightmares, but he came within a chance of winning the Indy 500 in his first ever IndyCar start. That was pretty spectacular. If Alonso ever did make the switch over to IndyCar, he would be competitive straight away, no question about that. IndyCar really doesn't do a whole lot of international events, Jonathan. In years gone by, they did events at Motegi in Japan at the Oval there. They've also done races in Mexico. They've done races in Brazil, but I can't recall when the last time IndyCar went to Europe was. I know back in the kart days they ran at the Lausitzring over in Germany, but I don't recall in recent memory IndyCar going to Europe. I don't know if IndyCar ever went to Zolder. I'm not that well versed on Indy history, so it's possible, but I'm not remembering anything like that. Really spectacular little car this is. Yep, Mick Honda, and then Indy Honda. Alonso just could not escape his woes with Honda for the last 3 years, 2015, 2016, here in 2017. Just Honda can't get their act together. Now, what's probably going to happen is they're going to go to Toro Rosso, they're going to figure things out, and then Toro Rosso is magically going to become competitive, which will really be the last straw for McLaren and for Alonso. The Renault engine, we've seen this year, particularly in Mexico, they've had some reliability issues, but hopefully they get a handle on that and they'll become competitive next year with McLaren, because Fernando Alonso needs to be near the front. It's good for Formula One to have multiple guys challenging for race wins. Danny Ricciardo and Max Verstappen and Valtteri Bottas have been able to do that for us so far, but we need another player in there. We need another team in there. It'd be really great if we could get Ferrari, Mercedes, and McLaren, and Red Bull from time to time getting in there and winning races and really giving us a multiple fight for the championship for multiple drivers and multiple teams, because Mercedes have been unbeatable so far since 2014, and it's cool. It's really cool to see the success for Mercedes. I mean, they've come into Formula One and they've just proceeded to win everything, but it's good for the sport to have multiple teams in the fray. It's good for the fans to have multiple drivers in the fray. So I hope that in 2018 we start to see a little bit more parity at the front of the grid, because honestly it is boring watching Mercedes win everything. In terms of what Halo's going to do, here's my prediction with Halo. Everyone's going to show up in Australia Halo's going to be on the car, and it's going to cause unforeseen problems. Just like the new qualifying format did at the beginning of the season, Halo is going to cause some problem that nobody has thought about. It's going to be enough to make the drivers not want to run it, and it's going to be banned. It's going to be banned mid-season. I agree with you there, the Razor Kill. So I don't think Halo is even going to survive 2018, let alone into 2019. Eventually, will we see some sort of cockpit protection come into play? Yeah, we will. It's the way that this sport and these cars are going to evolve. But Halo's not the way to do it. Halo still gives the impression that it's a rushed, slapped-together solution. They have done extensive testing with it, sure, but the circumstances for which Halo is meant to be applied are so rare that I don't think it really warrants the expense of putting it on the cars. We know what happened to Henry Surtees, we know what happened to Felipe Massa, and we know what happened to Jules Bianchi. With the Halo, there's no conclusive proof that it would have saved what happened to Felipe Massa, and there is absolutely conclusive proof that it would have made essentially no difference for Jules Bianchi. So out of 3 fatalities that we have seen in major open-wheel racing in the last 10 years, well, not 3 fatalities, 2 fatalities and 1 major life-threatening accident, it would have helped in 1 fatality, Henry Surtees, it would have done nothing for Jules Bianchi, and it would have done nothing for Felipe Massa. Over on the IndyCar side of the world, Justin Wilson in 2011, would that have, or Dan Wheldon in 2011 and Justin Wilson in 2015, would it have helped Dan Wheldon? Probably not. He went into the catch fencing at 200 miles an hour, cockpit first. I doubt the Halo would have withstood that sort of effect. The roll bar on the car could not withstand that impact, so the Halo, being a much less substantial structure, withstanding that impact, not a chance. With Justin Wilson, with that nose cone, from the other car of Sage Karam coming down and just bouncing the wrong way, would it have hit the Halo rather than Justin Wilson, or would it have gone straight through the gap? There's no real way to know. So it's inconclusive on Felipe Massa and Justin Wilson. It certainly would not have helped Dan Wheldon. It certainly would not have helped Jules Bianchi. And maybe it would have helped Henry Surtees. So that's not a very good percentage in terms of definitely it would have helped in those situations. Ultimately, cockpit canopies are probably the way to go, whether it's going to be a full canopy that covers the entire cockpit opening, or if it's going to be something akin to what we saw from the Red Bull Aero screen concept. It's going to be something of that nature rather than the Halo. The Halo just doesn't do most of what it's designed to do. It's basically designed to deflect wheels. But how often does a wheel come off of a Formula One car these days? Not very much, really. And even when it does happen, it tends to bounce off the circuit immediately and not interfere with anything. So basically what the bigger threat is for Formula One drivers, it's smaller debris or cars coming across the cockpit of another car. That doesn't happen very much either. And smaller debris, like in the case of Felipe Massa with that spring from the brawn of Rubens Barrichello, it's such a freak instance that you'll never see it happen twice. So is fundamentally altering the design of the car the way to go? Probably not, but that's the way that we have gone. I mean, the only conclusive way that we could see in the case of Justin Wilson, whether or not Halo could have done something, is if they were ever to release the onboard footage of that incident, and I don't believe that they have, and I don't believe that they ever will, because it's honestly it's a rather insensitive thing to do. But it all depends on how that nose cone actually came across into the cockpit. If it came across from directly in front, the Halo would have deflected it. If it came across from any other lateral angle, it probably would have gone straight through the gap in the halo. I mean, it was just that sort of freak event that you just cannot foresee, unfortunately. High nose F1 cars, will they ever return? Probably not, unfortunately, because they're also concerned with the idea of a 90-degree nose to side T-bone accident, something like that, with the noses, if they were higher, penetrating into the cockpit. The low nose is designed basically to punt one car over top of another in a situation like that. So I think the low noses are here to stay. It definitely hurts aerodynamics, particularly underbody aerodynamics. You see the team starting to play with that this year with Mercedes, with those canard wings along the sides of the nose. The engineers, like they always do, they'll work around it and they'll figure out a way to claw that downforce back. And the low noses have been around for quite a few seasons now, and I think they've mostly got the handle on it. But obviously, a high nose is the ideal solution. They won't abandon cockpit protection for sure. They'll come up with other concepts as time rolls on. Halo certainly does have the look of being an interim solution. It's not going to be the final iteration. Even of the Halo itself, I think we'll see different iterations of it moving into 2019 and 2020. But it is the status quo right now. Honestly, I don't really know what my reaction is going to be seeing a full field of Formula One cars that don't have open cockpits. The Formula One is fundamentally open wheel and open cockpit. It's always been that way, and I think it should remain that way. But we'll see. The trend is definitely going to be closing the cockpit. Halo is not strictly a closed cockpit solution. They're trying to split the difference, and I just think it's worked out. It's worked out in a way that is absolutely detrimental to the, first of all, the aesthetics of the car. And aside from that, it's really going to hurt aerodynamics. You're going to see the engineers start to play with winglets and things on the Halo. We already saw McLaren doing that at the tire test in Abu Dhabi at the end of the season. Whether or not the teams are going to be able to get the leeway that they would really like to implement new designs with the Halo in an aerodynamic point of view, we'll see. I do expect the teams to play with it in a pretty large degree moving into the beginning of 2018. And even on the launch cars, we'll see what's going on. Yes, Yona, you have come a bit late. However, yes, this is an Alfa Romeo stream, and also we're talking about some other cars here in the bonus pack 3, which so far I've got to say it's pretty good. Pretty good. We've taken a look at the Huayra BC, we've looked at the Sesto Elemento, we've taken a look at the Performante as well in the Lamborghini, and now we're having a look at the Alfa 33. We've also looked at the Giulia Quadrifoglio. The Ferrari quit threat. It is just that. It's a threat. They're not actually going to act on it. This reminds me of 2009, when the Concord Agreement had yet to be signed, when Ferrari said that they were going to break away and start another series. Ferrari have the financial capital to do that. They also probably have the political capital to do that, just in their brand image and their brand name. But Ferrari needs Formula One, and Formula One needs Ferrari. It's always been that symbiotic relationship. Ferrari don't do any advertising. That's it. They do Formula One. That's their advertising. So if Ferrari all of a sudden we're not racing in Formula One, they lose exposure. At the same time, if Formula One starts a season without Ferrari, I'm going to say that at least 50% of all the people who watch Formula One because of Ferrari. They know Ferrari, they like Ferrari, they want to see Ferrari racing. So if Formula One starts a season without Ferrari, Formula One viewership is going to drop by at least 50%, I would say. It is that big of a deal. You make a good point. What Ferrari are really doing, it's not a real threat. It's basically them saying to Liberty Media, look, you're new boys on the block. You don't know how this works yet. We're Ferrari. We're the oldest team. We're the only team who has competed in every season. We're more important to this sport than you are, even though you guys own it and run it. So this is how the cookie crumbles, guys. And that's what Marchione is doing right now. And he's basically trying to teach Liberty Media a thing or two about how this world works. It's politics. It's always been politics. Formula One is a very political sport. It always has been, and it probably always will be. As a fan, that's part of the allure of it. I like watching the political dramas that unfold. I like watching how the FIA and Formula One management get on with each other and how that affects the regulations. It's basically like watching an international chess game. It's like watching real world geopolitics, but on a much accelerated time scale. What we see between one season to the next can be completely different, and that's the way the world works as well in terms of geopolitics, but it takes generations in the real world. In Formula One, it takes a year, so it's really interesting to watch from a political science standpoint. I've never played GT6. The last Gran Turismo game I played was GT5, and that was before I really heavily got into the PC sim racing side. Once I started here on PC, I've never looked back. GT5 was a slap in the face, I've got to say. It was. We waited so long for that release. GT4 came out in 2004, and then we switched over to the PS3 in 2006, and it took until 2010 to get GT5. It took them 6 years to come up with a sequel, and it was so underwhelming when it finally came. So honestly, it really just put me off of polyphony, and it put me off of consoles in general. Once I really got up to speed with PC simming and seeing the tremendously advanced capabilities that we've got here in the PC world, especially with modding, it just put me off from consoles forevermore, really. And also, what we're doing right now, live streaming, I can do this, I can fire up my computer, I can fire up AC or any sim I like, and I can live stream to you straight away. With a console, I've got to do things with capture cards and run the console through the graphics card and get everything working right with the frame rates and all that stuff. It's just too much. It really is. The other thing that really it didn't confuse me really, but it disappointed me with GT5 was they had promised that there was going to be a native app within the game to upload things to YouTube from it, and it never happened, and it really was just disappointing on many levels, because I would have really liked to post hot laps and things from GT5 straight from the PS3 up to YouTube, and I would have done that, but just it never happened. So it was disappointing on many levels. As a bonus here to end with, do we want to see a Formula One car at Laguna Seca? All right, some of you are definitely liking the sounds of that. We'll go to Laguna Seca. We'll take an F1 car. What kind of F1 car do you want to see? F2004? Just like Marc Chenet? Marc Chenet did it in the F2003. I'll have you know. But, yeah. MP420 or F2004? Just so you guys know, I am tremendously biased toward the MP420, but if you don't want me to do the 420, I will drive something else. Got one vote for the R25. Unfortunately, no one's done a Life L190 for Assetto Corsa. I would really like to have one, but no one wants to do it. F2007, that's also fair. Yes, Age of Light, that video with the Lotus 79 at Laguna Seca with the helmet cam. Oh yeah, that's something I would really love to do. I'll also tell you that if you've never driven a race car in real life, that is what it looks like. That is what you see. That's one of the best racing videos I have ever seen in my life. Got one vote for the RSS 79 at Laguna. Seems like it's between the MP420, the F2007, and Formula 79. No matter what I'm driving, I'm going to drive it with the Alcantara 599 rim, so it'll be okay. Even if it's a hybrid car, it doesn't matter. You know, we did the Quadrifoglio about an hour ago now. Jeez. You can rewind in the live stream once we're done here, and you can see me trying to get it sideways, which it does do quite well, I must say. We've got 1 minute to make a decision, guys. MP420, R25, F2007, Formula 79, F2004. What do you want to say? I'm seeing 2 votes for Formula 79, 1 for F2007. Two votes now, 3 votes now for F2007. So far, the F2007 is in the lead. Sage of Light is still not committed. So far, it's 3 votes to the F2007, 2 votes to the Formula 79, 1 vote to the F2004. I don't have the MacCorp MP44 any longer, unfortunately. I don't know if it even works, the MacCorp 44. Yes, we are so coordinated and unified. So far, it looks like the F2007 is the winner. So, in a minute, I'm going to cut out. We're going to switch over to Laguna Seca. And unless I get an absolute slew of votes to the contrary in that intermeeting time, it's going to be the F2007 at Laguna Seca. We are going to cut out here. Hang tight. We will be back at Laguna. Stand by. Welcome back, everyone! Yes, it's the F2007 here at Laguna Seca. Yes, yes, yes. You guys have changed my mind, or you've persuaded me, whatever you want to say. Yes, it has occurred. So we'll just make sure everything is healthy here with the stream. Yes, the sudden urge to smoke cigarettes and buy Shell V-Power. Yes, I know. Advertising is a hell of a drug, isn't it? Anyway, let's get some fuel in this thing. Let's do this. All right, boys and girls. I'll just have you know that this is the first time I'm driving a Formula 1 car here at the Kunos Laguna Seca. I am not disappointed. A bit of rear locking there, a little bit more forward on the brake bias. And the lap time, it's a 104.793. We can definitely go faster than that. Nice reverberation sound effects as well. Not sure how well you can hear that, but it's bouncing off the hillside here. Very nice. That's a bit of an off. This is something that I so wish we could see in reality, though. Formula 1 car at Laguna Seca. Try a field of 20 of them for a Grand Prix. That would be absolutely tremendous. Unfortunately, this place never has a prayer of appeasing the FIA with their somewhat draconian safety standards. I mean, particularly this corner. I mean, we all know what happens if a car goes off there at full throttle, but it would be so cool to see. Oh, 3528. Understeer there. The car kind of bottoms through compression. Very nice. 103.329. Starting to get a low fuel indicator. 15 liters remaining. Overcooked that a bit, that's okay. Hit that sausage curb. You don't have to be off by much. What can I say? It's a very nice car on a very nice track. Kunos, you've hit it out of the park here with Laguna Seca. Brilliant addition to the sim. Really it is. I'll say it again, I am so pleased that finally we've got it. It's the kind of track, it's like Imola, it's like the A1 ring, the Red Bull ring, whatever you want to call it. It rewards your bravery, it rewards you trying to push the limits of where the track begins and ends. It wants you to use the curving, it wants you to use all the runoff. And of course up here at the corkscrew, it wants you to jump on the brakes as you're looking at the sky, and then down here you can't see where that second apex is. Definitely rewards some fortitude. Moto 3, 317. Fantastic car, fantastic track. Really, everything about it. It's brilliant. We're going to have to back off here because we're going to run out of gas. But really, this may be one of the best car and track combinations out there. Just saying. Full lock to get into the pits. Really, great. Great, 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 great. Yes, Laguna Seca, we've got it. The F2007, brilliant car. Of course, it won the World Championship. You wouldn't expect anything less from a machine with that degree of pedigree. Really fantastic. Let's see, having a look through the comments here. Yeah. Let's see. Yes, talking about different powertrain lineups that we could see in Formula One. Unfortunately, I think we are stuck here with the turbo hybrids for the foreseeable future, even after 2020. I would really love to see the naturally aspirated V10s come back. That's never going to happen. We are going to see hybrid systems of some sort, probably with an MGUK. There's talk of deleting the MGUH, but we'll see what happens. Ferrari, if that quit threat is real, maybe they would go back to V10s or V12s, but I really doubt it. The biggest problem is making the cars even heavier. It just cuts the cornering speed so much. The weight transfer is too much, the weight distribution gets ruined. It's meh, really. You want a full race? You want a race video with this car and the MP422? We might be able to do something like that. That would not be too difficult. Cool, cool. In any event, though, this is going to be bringing the live stream to the end. Thank you all very much for joining me here. Yes, of course, we did start by taking a look at Bonus Pack 3 with some of the cars from there. We took a look at the Pagani Huayra BC. We looked at the Giulia Quadrifoglio. We looked at Sesto Elemento from Lamborghini. We also looked at the Performante from Lamborghini. We looked at the Alfa 3.3. And, of course, we finished up here with the F2007, which has no relation whatsoever to Bonus Pack number 3, but it's really cool. And we're here at Laguna Seca, which, of course, is the new track here in Assetto Corsa. Absolutely brilliant stuff. Again, really pleased to see Laguna Seca coming to the sim officially. There was a really good mod version of this track that's been out for quite some time. But this one's been laser scanned by Kunos. It's been all put together by Kunos. It's great. Welcome to Assetto Corsa Laguna Seca. Anyway, thank you all very, very much for joining me on this little quixotic project. I hope you all enjoyed it. Ferrariman601 saying thank you very much. Thanks for being here. Great talking to all you guys. And of course, we will see you soon.